A great story about love and differences between social classes in New York based on a world famous musical of Broadway. It's about to hit the theaters this weekend. So today I'm so happy to speak with Rachel Zegler and Ariana DeBose. How is it going for you? Good morning.
Hi, Jay. How are you?
I feel great. I feel so honored to speak to you. So I could watch the trailer and notice that this movie is a statement of love and not just romantic love, but love for other ones because we share the same dreams. So, Rachel, how is this portrayed in the film?
This was such an important story to tell. It's always been such a poignant story about loving each other in spite of our differences and having conversations rather than shutting people out for having a different opinion than us. It's a really, really beautiful story about love prevailing over hate. And I think in the past couple of years, it's become a story we need now more than ever. But like you said, it's not just about romantic love. Ariana and I get to share a beautiful sisterhood love in this film. There's love between Bernardo and Maria, a brother and sister love, as well as I think something that's really underrated is Valentina and Tony's love. This love that's between this elder and somebody much younger than herself, and how she guides him into this world with kindness and something that he's never really known before. So I hope that answers your question. It was really wonderful and really important for us to be able to see not only as Latinos, but as human beings, because we don't always get to see such positive relationships in the media, despite all of the other plot points and the fighting and the violence. It's really important to see love and joy as well.
Yeah, you're right. Those kind of things really touch our heart so deeply. So we know there is a very crucial and challenging scene with Anita in the film, Ariana. Was it hard for you to do that and put on Rita Moreno's shoes after 60 years?
Oh, I mean, of course, there would have been a certain amount of pressure for anyone who took on this role. But I will say, it was an honor to be able to play a scene with her. Valentina and my Anita do get a moment to sort of like show down. And it was cathartic for me in a way. I think it was challenging for her. But I will say, this became about carrying on a legacy of possibility. When I was young, I got to see, the woman in the purple dress twirling with abandon who sort of looked like me. She showed me that it could be done. And now I get to be the woman in the yellow dress with the red skirt, Rachel gets to be the girl in the white dress with the red belt. And we get to show young Latinas that they have possibility and that they too can succeed if they work hard. So as much as there's pressure around the legacy of what West Side Story has meant to people, this is such a beautiful opportunity to show young folks that possibilities are endless.
Well, finally, Rachel, what are those characteristics you share with Maria and that many people need to learn from her of this movie?
There's a sense of resilience that actually I don't necessarily share with Maria, but I learned about Maria and I learned about myself it's something that I wish I could cultivate the way that I think Maria does in such a short period of time. The plot of our movie is only really about 2.5 days. We shared a lot in common. Our lives kind of ran parallel for a little bit there, where she was 18, I was 18, and we were both living in Nueva York for the first time. I had just moved there and Maria had been there for 4 months. And I think Maria and I also share this innate ability to wear our heart on our sleeve almost to a fault, where we make decisions with our heart rather with our mind at times. And we do value love over all else. And, it's an idea of if all else fails, at least I have love in my life. And that is the reason she makes such rash decisions after tragedy has struck and she's lost her brother. And she makes this decision to forgive Tony in spite of that. And it's because she's leading with her heart. And I do think that it's a very beautiful thing. It's also a very 18-year-old thing to do. And she thinks she knows everything about the world. She doesn't know anything about the world. And neither did I. And I still don't. And I think that Maria is a testament of room for growth. But also it's very, very beautiful of her to lead with her heart the way that she does.
It's great to know that in this movie, everything is just in the right place. And it's just a powerful message that needs to be delivered to our society. So thank you so much for participating in this project. And we wish you the best in the projects to come too.
Thank you so much.
Many people have speak so well of this movie that I already want to see it on the big screen because there are so much elements that makes it really special. What do you think that are those elements? We'll start with you, David.
I think what makes it very special, it's the kind of story that I feel every single person on this planet can connect with in one way or another. And when you can kind of unite every single person to understand the very powerful message, that's when you know what you've created is really incredible. What Steven Spielberg and Tony Kushner, Justin Peck, what everyone has created here transcends time for me. And I'm just so fortunate and happy to be a part of this process to share this powerful message.
Josh, what was the part that you felt that was more challenging for you? Because everything in the camera, in what we see, it's so well coordinated, and it's a tribute, or a true tribute to the original film of the 60s. So was it hard for you to get used to some things?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I come from a predominantly theater background, so this was my first experience with film, and to have my first experience with film be something of this caliber was a little bit crazy, you know, as you can imagine. I think I grew a lot as an actor, and I'm super thankful for this experience, and I'm super thankful for the direction I got and for the people who on and offset that believed in me and supported me. I think, yeah, it was nice because there was a little bit more nuance injected into my particular character, and I had a really nice opportunity to collaborate to build this person from scratch. And something that was a real challenge was, I think, being put in a position where I had to embody this really complicated disposition that was full of sensitivity, gentleness, kindness, but also a deep-seated resentment and hatred. And there was all kinds of facets to the personality that I had to embody, which I also had to do that in front of a camera, and I had to use my eyebrows and jaw to sort of convey all that, you know what I mean? So yeah, exactly. So that was a challenge, but I'm really, really thankful for it. It gave me a lot of growth through that, for sure.
Right. So speaking about that, what do you think are those barriers that need to be knocked down in terms of social relationship nowadays that needs to be cured, that the movie stands out? The question is for both of you.
Yeah, I think the important thing is understanding each other, you know, understanding different cultures and not fearing what you don't understand. I think that's really what this whole thing is about, is when you don't understand something, or even let yourself try to understand something, you're going to fear it. You're going to be scared of it. And then misunderstandings come from that. Hatred comes from that. And then it escalates to the point where a war starts practically. So that's why this story is so meaningful and powerful, because it's something humanity has been struggling with since the beginning of time. It's hard for us to understand each other. It's hard for us to put our ego and pride aside and really try to understand the other side. And the fact that we're bringing this message to this generation, I think it's so important and so meaningful and so purposeful. And I'm just so grateful to be a part of that.
Yeah. And I guess I think to piggyback off of that, as far as understanding and basically just willingness to be open-minded, I think what's really cool about this movie is certain parts are so frustrating because you see how stubborn people are willing to be just to not get along. And that has an effect on innocent bystanders. And I think a lot of the people in the story don't understand the effect that ignorance has on other people until the very end, when they see the innocent bystander that is Maria and the impact and trauma that she's taken in from that. And I think that applies to real life time and time again. And it's tragic every time.
There's a values message behind your words. Thank you so much for sharing that and for opening your heart to this, so that people can really know what is going on and what has been going through humanity for the last century. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it.
I just saw the trailer the other day. I noticed the project was going to be challenging. because there is so much heart put on it. What can you say about your participation in this, working with a lot of talented actors of musicals?
I feel so proud and so honored at the same time to be part of the cast and to feel that I have contributed to this film in many ways. You know, I had the great opportunity to not only play Rosalia, but also to be part of a committee that Tony Kushner created to work on the script and to add, to share our opinions. And when I say our, I mean other three Shark Boys and me, about the script, about the Spanish, about our culture. So I feel like it's such a great opportunity for us Latinos right now, and especially like we're also grateful to Steven Spielberg and Disney for giving us this amazing opportunity, because like there's a place for us, like somewhere the song from the film says, it's like there's a place for us. And I feel like there haven't been a spot for us in different, in certain level in Hollywood. So now we're just opening a door, and hopefully for more and more people and more youth to follow their dreams and to see themselves in the big screen.
Of course, because there is a new message behind it. Every people has their own dreams, as you said, and you want to accomplish. And even 60 years later, many things have changed in our society, but others remains the same. So what do you think is the message behind this movie, and this story needs to be told?
I would say that love conquers all. That if we have more empathy towards each other instead of fighting each other, we can have a better world and we can avoid so many negativity. So the movie is powerful. It has so many different messages that I feel like it can touch different hearts, different kind of people, Latinos, but also no Latin communities that maybe are judging towards Latinos or judging towards people choosing differently than what they think. So I don't know. I have so much faith in the story. I have so much faith in this cast and in this new reimagination of West Side Story.
So what was the hardest part of participating in this? Did you have to learn some choreographies that were particularly hard for you at the beginning, or did you make it out?
Yeah, the dancing, I would say, was the most challenging part for me. The singing, it was okay. The acting was fun, but the dancing was challenging because we were dancing in heels. There was like a heat wave at 100 degrees in New York when we were shooting America with big gowns. We were rehearsing nonstop. You are there surrounded by the best of the best. Our cast is incredible. But again, I went back to the whole preparation that I've been cultivating since I was 5 years old. I trained in Puerto Rico in the best dance schools. I have a career that I've been building up since I was 15 years old. So I just needed to trust myself and go with the process and enjoy the journey. And I went for it, and I'm here.
That will feel so natural because you are so talented and you have a great background. So congratulations for this participation in this big project that will be hitting theaters when? In this weekend?
10. Friday.
Friday, yeah. And there is so much heart put in it. Steven Spielberg made a great job just using old techniques and referring to the original movie of the 60s. So that's super great.
Yeah. I can't wait for the world to see it. I'm sure you're going to love it. And it's having great reviews so far. So let's keep praying.
So thanks so much for having me. I wish you the best in the projects to come.
Gracias.
Gracias. Bye.